What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.
At NBS, we believe in banking for life. For over 160 years, we've been a trusted banking provider for generations of locals like you. We know our clients personally and build long-term relationships with them, offering flexibility by giving our staff freedom to make quick decisions to put them first. Experience banking for life with NBS.
The Mako Rugby Roundup.
Welcome to the Mako Rugby Roundup. I'm Chris Butler, and welcome back to Les Edwards once again, mate.
Good to be here.
Both thrilled to bring you all things rugby in the top of the South. And before we dive in, big shout out to our venue sponsor, the Turf Hotel on Main Road, Stoke, Stan and the team. Plug, he's got jam night tonight. Check their Facebook for entertainment this weekend. Usually the meat raffle on Sunday, and also the full Monty on the 28th of August. It's all coming off. Stan's in it. I don't know if he's talked to you, Les.
No, he has not. So they're using the stage here to put on
they're going to be a show.
Production.
There's tables for sale, so
Awesome.
check it out. And he's given me a brief description of some of the outfits. They're practicing at the moment, and I do believe it's all coming off at the end. So it's going to be, he's very nervous, I can tell you. But all the money raised going to Nelson Cancer Society. So make sure you check out the Turf on Facebook. In this episode, we will cover latest rounds in first 15 rugby, international rugby, and we're finally here, Les, and it's all happening all of a sudden. It's crept up on us. The Mako season is underway. And we're very pleased to have the new Tasman Mako forwards coach, Aaron Dundon, or better known as Aza in Ireland. They haven't given you a nickname in New Zealand yet, but so until then, we'll keep it Aza. Nice to have you here, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
You're only recently home in New Zealand, and after many years in the UK, mainly in Ireland. So how good is it to be back in your home country?
Yeah, I've been really enjoying it the last few weeks being back. As you said, I've been away a long time. I normally only get back every kind of 3 or 4 years for a couple of weeks. But I'm really looking forward to spending a good amount of time back in New Zealand.
So, and you were mainly in Ireland all that time?
Mainly in Ireland, but spent a bit of time coaching in France and
wow,
up in Northern Ireland as well.
Ah, right. Countryside, I've been there once, and obviously you don't get the mountainous scenes, but actually countryside, apart from the rock walls and the odd castle or old stone home, the actual the grass, the ferns, very similar to New Zealand, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is. It's very, very similar.
I mean, the farms and, and apparently we're the same distance on the equator away, and there's quite a lot of cross correspondence between the farmers, swap notes on a lot of techniques. So tell us about your time there. Was that, the culture very similar to here, or apart from the accent and the Guinness, I guess?
Yeah, no, the culture's definitely similar. It was obviously spent the best part of 22 years over there now. But yeah, I've loved my time over there. I went over there as a 21-year-old trying to crack rugby overseas. Didn't always happen at the start, but I got there in the end, and really, really enjoyed it. So as you said, it's so similar to New Zealand, so it's kind of home away from home.
Yeah, fantastic. We're going to dive more deep into your story, but before we do that, we'll talk more about we've got first 15 rugby coming up, and we've got Mako season. So let's dive into the first 15 first. Round 9, how did they go, Les?
All our teams have made playoffs, all
Fantastic.
3 of them. So Marlborough College had a 20 points to 14 win over St. Bede's, which secured them 4th spot. And Nelson College 43 beat St. Andrews College 29, which got them top spot. And in the championship, Waimea combined, although losing to Rangiora High School 25-14, they secured 4th spot as well. So playoff rugby for all 3 colleges this weekend.
Fantastic. All right, so what does that mean finals wise then? How does that line up?
Okay, so one plays 4 and 2 plays 3. So one, Nelson College will host Marlborough Boys High School.
Oh, wow.
Boys College, I apologise. So that's this Saturday, 12 noon on the front field. Now, I know that there will be a massive crowd there, and some Marlborough Boys College age grade teams have already changed their plans, so they're going to play here in Nelson for their home games in Tahunanui, so they can get up to the front field to support their team.
Wow,
so
fantastic.
it's going to be a great day. And then Waimea combined have to travel away again to Rangiora High School Saturday 11 a.m. So a replay of last weekend.
You've played against Nelson College, I believe, so you know that team pretty well because you're a Wellington College man.
Yeah, I've actually played Nelson College and Marlborough Boys. Yeah, both. Obviously, we had a regular tournament against Nelson College. Also played Marlborough Boys in that is national last 32 knockout.
Oh, right. Yeah, which is something we were just talking about before. Didn't realise that. Quite a good idea, a knockout cup.
Yes. 32 teams over 4 weekends. So
yeah.
No, it was brilliant. Yeah,
it would be
awesome competition.
So what year were you playing first 15 for Wellington College?
Would have been my final year, year 2000.
2000. Yeah. So in those 4 teams, Cross College, Wellington, Wanganui, isn't it? Nelson College. So who were the mainstays then?
We were pretty good then, Wellington College. Yeah. Nelson College. I think we played them twice that year. I think we won one and lost one.
Right, in the final. So so they were pretty strong back then as well. Yeah. Interesting. Oh, well, look, good luck to all the teams. How's that? That's just a fantastic result.
I think so. It augurs well for the future of the Mako, say 3-4 years down the track, maybe even 2 years down the track. We can see some breakout players get to Mako level pretty quickly. Macca Springer comes to mind. So, yeah, it's wonderful that we've got those 3 colleges in the playoffs.
Let's look at internationals and, there's some big games coming up. It doesn't stop, does it? We've got Australia taking on South Africa. This is just going to be a boomer game. It's in Brisbane, 4:30. And what are your thoughts on that one? I mean,
4:30 our time is 2:30 their time. So they've already sold it out. Nothing better than Saturday afternoon rugby. That it's sold out. So, look, Aza, what do you think? How would you think these teams will match up in Brisbane?
Yeah, I think I kind of hope Australia win it. Only because Joe Smith was one of my coaches in Leinster for a number of years, I like to see him do well. So hopefully Australia for me.
Yeah. But look, I know it was Wales. Wales aren't playing that great at the moment. It was Georgia, although Georgia have been given some teams some frights lately. But what have you thought of the Aussies so far?
They're definitely getting better. I think it's going to take time.
Do you think they look sharper in their pre-season games or the games they've had so far?
You can definitely see a lot of Joe Smith's philosophy come out in the games. But it's going to take a bit of time. He's only in there. I think he was only in a couple of weeks before their first game against Wales. So more time he has, I think better you're going to see Australia.
It seemed that they're playing at a faster pace. Is that his style? Like, forwards and then setting the platform and then doing that at pace.
He puts a lot of emphasis on the breakdown. And playing quick ball. He drives really good habits around the breakdown every time. So you'll see a quicker ball definitely from a Joe Smith team.
Yeah, I was going to ask what his approach is, but sounds like a typically New Zealand style of playing the game. At times in previous years, the Wallabies have looked quite cumbersome. I think they're a lot sharper now, as you say, under Joe. I still think that this weekend might be a bridge too far for them. As Aaron says, it's early days. They'll build under Joe, but it's going to be well worth getting itself in front of the TV for.
And then it continues. So it's a huge night. If you want to stay up for the Olympics still on then. New Zealand versus Argentina and Wellington. It's 7:05. And the team was announced. I was in transit, so I didn't get the full picture, but I believe Bodie is starting at the back with Will on the bench.
Yeah, so with 3 Tasman Mako players in the squad, so Tyrell Lomax at prop and Ethan Blackadder in the side, and also Will Jordan on the bench. So yeah, they've decided to let Will Jordan get into the game bit by bit. Great. Bodie deserves the start. He's played so well in the games against England, so and that game against Fiji. So I think, he deserves the start, but it's going to be great to see Will Jordan back.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all those Mako boys after spending a bit of time with them in the last week. Having some good conversations and with them, and
well, that's right. They train quite a bit.
All last week they trained and obviously played against Southland in their preseason game. So they're awesome around the environment last week. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing how they go, and I wish them all the best.
So interesting. I heard that Blackadder's starting at 6, whereas the first game they gave him a crack against Fiji at 7. What do you think they haven't? Do they think our man from Auckland is a better 7?
I think it's pretty interchangeable nowadays. Those 2 roles, they're both big men. They must want to try Ethan out on that blindside channel, just seeing how much shoulder he can put into his defence. But I wouldn't be surprised if they interact in that role.
And traditionally, we've seen him at 6, haven't we? So he's familiar with that role.
Yeah, he's I personally, I think he could probably play 6, 7, or 8. He's got a pretty wide skill set. Last week he played a bit of 7 and 8 for us. So 6 and 8. So it'll be. I think he's versatile and he can play all those roles.
Yeah, I just think it's fantastic to see him there.
Yeah.
And just touch wood that no injury.
Dead right. I don't want anyone to get hurt in this in this year. I just think it's a great opportunity for the squad of 36 to give everyone a run, everybody a run at some stage, and just watch the continued improvement under Robertson.
But let's not
take
Argentina lightly. I mean, they've tipped us up a couple of times, haven't they? And they beat France. So,
and a new coaching team in there as well with Felipe Contepomi. So he's taken over the head coach now. So see how
you know him.
Yeah, he's coached in Leinster as well for a number of years.
Right.
He obviously played out there as well. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes after taking over from Cheika.
Yeah.
So
what's Michael Cheika doing now? He's going to coach league or something.
I don't know where he is.
He gets around, doesn't he?
He's just signed with Leicester.
Oh, has he?
Okay.
Has he really?
Yeah.
Hey, Aaron's our inside man.
Yes, he's
all,
got
all,
that too.
all knowledge. Thank you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, it's, as usual, it's going to be a big Saturday night. Mako preseason, and last Friday took on Southland and Christchurch. So, Aza, from your point of view, what do you think?
It was a good run out, really good run out for us. It was a lot more physical than probably our first preseason game against Manawatu. There was definitely a few opportunities where we didn't finish. I thought we could put a few more tries on Southland. But outcome was good. We came away with the game with no injuries, so we're fresh and ready for Sunday.
Well, I thought pretty good score, especially against the Stags. It's always a tough game against them, and they're always up for a physical game, aren't they?
Yeah, and importantly, because we hadn't played them for such a time, they put up the Clark Dermody Cup for this pre-season encounter, and I know Southland would have wanted to get their hands on that. Fortunately for us, the Mako prevailed. I believe it was 21-0 at half-time and then 12-7 in the second half into a pretty strong win. Is that right?
Yes, it was, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the season starts.
Here we are.
We know it. And the FPC, our Mako girls, are away. They take on Wellington Pride at Saturday, 12:05. So in the camp overall, I know you're not amongst the the team coaching or the squad, but you must be around the environment. So how's it feeling?
We work in the same building as Latoya Mason, who's the FPC coach, and I do know that they had a very successful camp at Kaiterikeri, did a lot of team building and team bonding. Do you get to interact with them at all?
Yeah, I've met the coaches a couple of times. Yeah, so they're obviously in the building.
Yeah. So look, it's a tough ask to play Wellington Pride. I once saw Wellington Pride just put 70 points on us in a game in Blenheim. So I'm just hoping that Latoya has got this side steeled for an encounter. But one thing I can say is we've got a lot of young talent that have had a year or two under their belt. They're still very young, but they now know what FPC looks like, and so they'll be well prepared. Put it that way.
Well, we look forward to that. Do we know if that's televised?
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. So you'll be able to catch it.
Yeah.
On Sky.
Fantastic. All right, and then we turn our attention to the NPC, the men, and geez, you get another crack at them. So away to Manawatu.
Sunday 4:35.
Yeah.
And Aaron, you got some good news from the All Black selectors, did you not?
We did, yeah. So David Havili's going to be coming back for this game, yeah. So which obviously disappointed for him not to be involved in the All Blacks, but obviously delighted for us to be involved in for the Mako on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh well, and great to see him back in the squad. But as you say, you probably prefer to be having a crack up there. But
they need some game time.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
and so to have him in the number 12 jersey, I think is a great bonus for us. We won't see a lot of him, but always wonderful to have David Havili around the team and be around the camp because he's such a good leader.
So just having those guys, with the training, did you feel that was a bit of a boost for the guys? Because previously you wouldn't have had that many players at one time of that caliber come back to train with the Mako squad. So did you get a feeling that was a bit of a boost for the squad overall, having those guys just around the squad?
Oh, definitely. Just that training during the week, just felt the communication they give, the standards they drive, the communication they're having with the young guys is massive, and it's it's invaluable.
Yeah.
And what about having Finlay Christie with you now for the foreseeable future? He must be a great asset to the group.
Yeah, so he's only just been back in really this week. But we'll take you. Yeah, any All Black.
Right.
Yeah, because it wasn't the news that TJ might be heading off. So yeah, so who knows? I mean,
TJ is heading off at the end of the year, but
that's not till the end of the year,
correct?
Right.
And they picked him to start this test with Ratama on the bench.
Yeah.
So Noah Hotham's up there as the third halfback. But yeah, to have Finlay Christie and David Havili running this back line, it'll be wonderful viewing at 4:35 on Sunday.
Okay, so let's talk about the game against Manawatu. You've already played them in a pre-season, and obviously not a lot you can get out of a pre-season because you're trying all sorts of different things, and now it comes down to the crunch, and you beat them quite convincingly. So Manawatu will be going, we're not having this. We're going to be taking you guys, and also you're playing away. So tell us about this game and what you expect.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a big challenge this game. We played Manawatu 2 weeks ago at Poniki. Both teams are trialing new stuff that they want to implement in the season coming. There's a lot of young players playing. There's a bit of mixture. Still trying to work out combinations. So I don't think we can take a lot from that game.
Yeah.
So it's big on us. We've been talking about it this week. We can't, this game's so important and starting well. We can't let what happened 2 weeks ago or even last year, those results come into our minds. It's a new game. So we've got to be ready for it.
I believe the squad will be announced this afternoon. Is that right, Les?
Yes. The Mako team is announced. So
yeah.
And your key drivers in the forwards, you'd be obviously looking to Quinny Strange. To lead the team and lead the forward pack.
Yeah, he's a big line out leader for us, and obviously our skipper as well.
Yeah.
And Mate, how good to have Sione Havili Talitui in your side, because that guy could have played for Tonga,
Yeah, right.
has chosen to play for the Mako, and he is a fearless breakaway, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and he's been a top man around the place. He's a leader. He drives really high standards. So he's been really good, and it's going to be good to see him this season playing for the Mako.
So are we seeing a fairly similar squad to last year? So there's a bit of stability there, or is there quite a few changes?
Oh, I think it's fair to say there's a lot of stability, a lot of names we all know, some additions that couldn't play last year because of international duties. You know, all of those boys who played for Tonga, like Willie Havili and Sam Molly. So having them back in camp is awesome. But look, there's only really one new change in terms of recruitment, and that's a midfielder called Will Butler. We talked about him, I believe. He's captain England under-20s. We'll get him on the show next week, by the way. And he's about the one major new recruit, isn't he? The rest of them are pretty stable in terms of their experience with the Mako.
Yeah, and it's just a few boys kind of coming back after not being available last year because of the World Cup. So they're energized and they're looking forward to getting the Mako shirt on again.
Yeah.
And, your front row, you're a hooker, you're a forwards coach, but the front row must be a passion for you. So who's your leader in the top three?
To be honest, there's quite a few leaders. We've got Kershey there, and we've got Quinton McDonald and Sam Molly, Ryan Coxon as well. That they all chip in. They all have a voice, which is good.
And you've got 6 props in your squad, which is pretty important. All of them healthy?
All of them healthy. Yep.
Right.
All of them healthy.
We've had years where we've had prop problems. We've had a year where we had lock problems. Just having healthy bodies in the squad's really important.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the season last year started okay, but then, there were quite a few injuries, and so it fell off the wagon. So, that's what I'm just wondering is that they have had a year under their belt. There's some new players that have been blooded. They had to come in quite early in the piece. Noah Hotham being one of them. Because of injury, but they've had that experience now, and they've been together as a squad, and quite a few new faces after quite a few of our main squad left for various reasons, but mainly All Black call-ups. So, so to have a new squad coming through and seeing it build, it just be interesting to see how it all gels together. But the feeling is good, obviously, in the camp.
Feeling's good, and there's a couple of players returning back from America as well. We've got Isaac Salmon coming back, who was over playing in New Orleans, and Sammy Matinga is coming back as well in the next week or so. So in hindsight, it's been quite good because it's given me opportunity to look at some of the young guys in the front row.
Yeah, true.
Which I've been really impressed with, guys like Mono Molly and Sione Muffy as well. There's 2 young guys that togged out against Southland last week and did really well.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's good. Okay, and then the following week, the FPC, the girls go away again. They take on North Harbour Hibiscus. That's on Saturday 18th, 12:05. We can talk more about that next week. But big one next week at home because the boys taking on Canterbury. They had a big score in the pre-season, didn't they? They're looking pretty strong this year. But we have had their measure. It's not as though Canterbury completely dominant, that's for sure. It's at Trafalgar Park. It's an afternoon game, 2:05, and providing the weather gods play their act, it could be a huge day.
Yeah. So all I really want to say to the listeners is get your tickets.
Yeah, that's right.
There's plenty of covered seats. There's plenty of grandstand seats. Just get along and support the lads. You can get your tickets online at mako.nz. So please just get your tickets early, and we'll know after this weekend how we went and how they went, and then these guys will dive into their video analysis of the games, and we'll be ready, won't we?
We will be, yeah. We will be.
You're with the Mako Rugby Roundup, and it's our great pleasure to have Aaron Dundon, who's the Tasman Mako forwards coach, with us. And let's talk about growing up in Wellington, your early upbringing and schooling. So when did you, how did rugby come in the picture for you, and how did you end up playing for first 15?
definitely from a young age. Well, I've always been pretty sporty. My whole family's been pretty sporty. Mum and dad are pretty passionate about it. If we're into sport, do your sport and don't worry about jobs and sort of stuff. I remember being young and wanting a paper run, and they were like, "No, we'll interfere with your sport." So my parents were pretty good with all my siblings around that sort of stuff. So yeah, we all played a lot of sport growing up, all different sports. Cricket was one of the ones that was quite big in the family. Football and rugby. Rugby took off for me once I went to Wellington College. Obviously, my brother ahead of me went to Wellington College, and he started playing for the first 15. So I kind of had aspirations, kind of watching him play, that I wanted to play for the first 15. So that's kind of when rugby took off for me, was, once I joined Wellington College.
Yeah, so you were a young hooker who went to Ireland at just 21 years of age, and I'm interested what led you to take that path rather than stick around and play NPC, perhaps.
Definitely from a young age, you kind of know if you're going to make the All Blacks or not.
That was the dream.
Yeah, it was definitely the dream to play for the All Blacks. Kind of knew I wasn't going to make it, so all my older siblings had already been overseas. Had a brother in England playing cricket and brother in Canada and stuff like that. So I said, I'll give rugby overseas a shot. So yeah, packed my bags, went overseas, and joined a club called Sea Point, which is in Dublin, in Ireland, and they were really good. Kind of found me a job, place to stay, a great club, awesome culture. It was kind of lower league, but it was met some of my best mates there, and that are still pretty tight with. And then played there for a couple of years, and joined a club called Clontarf, which would be top club league in Dublin. There's actually a New Zealand coach called Andy Wood there. He's from Petone. He kind of brought me over to the other side of Dublin to play. Yeah, so played there for a couple of years, and then Joe Smith and John O'Gibbs and Greg Feek, the Leinster coaches at the time, saw me playing club rugby against the Leinster development side, and they were at the time looking for a hooker. So yeah, got an opportunity to go in and train. And
so, what standard would you put Sea Point and Clontarf in New Zealand terms, like senior rugby Auckland? And that said, did you start learning about the dark arts of type forward play over there that was different to what you knew from New Zealand?
Yeah, I think Clontarf would be premier grade.
Right.
It was over there, in scrummaging, and Europe. You definitely learn about the dark arts. Yeah,
Oh dear.
yeah, refereeing around the scrums, not really. There's no refereeing around the scrums really over there. So you learn, you learn different ways of doing stuff. You learn from the guys you're playing with. But I think that's probably kind of helped me, but also maybe understand scrummaging more and more of a love for it.
Yeah, well, we talk about that, don't we, Chris? The difference between you watch Super Rugby and you watch, say, Six Nations. I know it's internationals versus franchise, but they hold that scrum in such high regard as a key part of the game over there, don't they?
Yep. I think in Europe, definitely they look at the scrum as a weapon, and that's where they can get penalties and stuff like that. And I think in New Zealand, the mindset is we scrum and we can play off it. We want to score tries off it. Yeah. So it's a different mindset.
I'm just interested how you end up in the hooking role. What position did your brother play in first 15?
Oh, he was a halfback. 9.
Oh, a halfback.
Yeah.
So, was it you, or did someone say, I think you'd make a good hooker? And actually, when I think back to my school days, the guys that played hooker often, they're about the size of a halfback, but their skill sets, their ability to get the ball and to run and do all sorts of things with the ball, their skill sets were always high, but they weren't actually all huge guys. They they were prepared to get involved in them all and involved in the scrum. So, but then again, you think sometimes, why would you ever put yourself in that position? So were you attracted to it? Someone push you into it? How did that work?
I actually had Wellington College. I was actually a halfback.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so I followed my
Mind you,
brother.
halfbacks are a bit mad too, don't they? They put themselves.
They've got to be.
Yeah, so I followed my brother, and I wanted to be a halfback like my brother.
Right.
It wasn't until I left Wellington College and went to Puniki.
Ah, right.
And I was in the under 21s with coach Richard Watt. I think he coaches the Bay of Plenty now, and he was obviously the forwards coach for the Hurricanes for a few years. And they had a couple of nines, and he was like, "Oh, who wants to play hooker?" They needed a hooker, so I just said, "Oh, I'll give it a go." And I really enjoyed it. I loved it. Yeah. But it was I kind of had to teach myself how to throw a bit and learn how to scrum. Obviously, under 20s level, there's not a lot of coaches that can help you around that. But then going from there overseas, I knew I had to get bigger, so kind of spent a bit of time in the gym. And yeah, that's how I became a hooker. Really.
You became a bigger halfback who could play hooker.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because you don't often, put the two together. But if I think of the guys that I knew that played hooker, they would always find that gap, and go for it. Outside of the scrummaging, they're always able to, to find the hole and zip through. So not too dissimilar at times when a halfback's actually looking for that opportunity. Yeah. No, interesting.
Yeah.
But then again, you had to put your, the head in the middle of a scrum, and you talk about the dark arts. So how was that for you? You didn't mind it?
I found I got some good learnings along the way. Definitely a few times where I was up in the air more times than I was in the scrum. But look, that's how you learn, I suppose.
Yeah.
The biggest learning for me around hooker was when I went into Leinster. Greg Feek was our scrum coach. He literally changed my throw completely, where my stance, my technique, I couldn't literally throw the ball a meter in front of me, where I couldn't even spiral it. And it took me good 3 or 4 months to learn how to throw again. But luckily I was injured at the time, so I had that time to do that. But him spending that 4 months and teaching me how to throw, it kind of gave me a desire. I went and looked at how other guys threw and picked up good cues off them, what was good, what was bad. And even now, like, I've got a real big passion around throwing. So I've researched it quite a lot because of that, and down to Greg Feek putting the time into me. So yeah, that's probably biggest learning. Yeah, it was kind of the hard way from live scrums in a club competition, and then having a coach like Feeky that had the coaching and the smarts around the scrum and the throwing that helped me get where I did.
Oh, it is quite important, because if you don't get that right, it can turn a game around. The All Blacks have had the odd game where the set piece hasn't gone well, and the throwing being part of it. And it just completely puts pressure on you, doesn't it? Although we did have a laugh, didn't we? So Quentin McDonald, Blackadder, said to him once, "How come the hooker takes the throw?" He said, "Well, actually, I don't know." That's a good question.
Anyone could do it.
Anyone could do it, but I guess someone's got to focus on it, don't they?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's generally not as tall, I guess.
Yeah. And it's a tough skill set as well. It is a tough skill set, but it's something you got to work a lot on. It's you find the ones that work the most on it are the ones that are quite successful with it.
So the All Blacks have a throwing coach. We talked to Feliti Kaitu'u last year about throwing.
Yeah, that's right. It was actually him.
Yeah, all of the moving parts that you've got to deal with. It's not an easy job.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not. And then you got all those other elements that play, the wind and yeah.
Oh, because what did he say to you? Because you asked him that question. He
said, what do you think?
Yes.
I asked him if it was a difficult ask. He said, what do you think? Well, I think it might be.
So recruited by Leinster, as you said, 49 games in 6 seasons. So quite a time there. Were the signs there that would that Leinster would become the club that they are today?
Definitely, yeah. So the time I was there, we won 2 kind of Heineken Cups, as it was called back then, and a couple of Pro 12s and Pro 14s. And every year there was expectation you win silverware, and they did. It's kind of Leinster's kind of gone from strength to strength. You can see with the caliber of players they're going after now, and the coaches. So yeah, it's you can see it happening.
So you were kind of in that growth period, and the amount of games that they play over there, so pretty relentless.
Yeah, and obviously it's a few different competitions, not just with the senior team, but obviously there's 8 competitions in the past. But yeah, it's a long season. They have a lot of players. You think about the senior team, there's 21 internationals in that team that go away for long periods during the Six Nations, and then you still need players to play the rest of those fixtures during that time.
Saw an interesting debate on a podcast. It was an English podcast, English Rugby. What would the Crusaders be like playing the amount of games that they have to play in an English competition? Would they be as successful? Interesting question.
I'd say you need a bigger squad. And as you alluded to, so how many hookers did Leinster carry?
At the moment, they would have, four senior hookers and 1 in the academy. So there'll be 5 all up.
Yeah,
Yep.
You just have to have more depth.
Who are a couple of your hooking mates?
So when I was there, we had Rickard Strauss, who's in a South African that qualified for Ireland. He played a number of games, and Sean Cronin as well. So they were the kind of 2 main, number 1 and 2. I was probably the 3rd choice behind them, but I just had to be always ready. And I got a lot of my opportunities when they were both away on Irish duty.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you do have to have depth, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah. Tell us about that realization one day, I wouldn't mind carrying on rugby and I wouldn't mind coaching.
It was, can't remember what age I was. Must have been 33 or 34. I didn't have a great season regarding injury. I got quite a few head knocks in 1 year. I think it was 4, but each time I got one, kind of took me longer to get back. So I lost a little bit of confidence, and especially around the contact area. And then there's a couple of young guys coming through, so I kind of knew my time might be kind of up. So the head coach, same head coach now, Leo Cullen, I kind of had a honest conversation with him, and he let me know pretty early. He goes, "Oh, look, it's probably not going to be in our plans for next year." So I'd already been doing a lot of coaching for years while I was playing. So I started coaching a school called Newbridge College. So I did that while I was still playing. Started off as head coach of the first 15, did it for 4 years. Absolutely loved it. I think coaching first 15 is one of the best competitions to coach in, because the boys are like sponges. They just soak up all the information, and they're so keen. And then I went from there and coached the club I played with as a forwards coach, Clontarf. So I did that for a couple of years. So I was already had coached for 7 years before I was finishing up playing. And I was also mentoring a few of the young guys in the academy just around there, doing a lot of throwing with them. So once I finished up, I got in contact with a coach called Bernard Jackman in Grenoble. He's an Irish guy. So I said, and I was kind of looking to keep playing. I was just, it'd be quite cool to go play in France for a year. So I kind of rang him, and he said, I've got a coaching opportunity in the academy if you like it. And I said, yeah, look, he said, come over to France and I'll introduce you to the president and show you around and take you from there. So I went over, and they ended up offering me the forwards coach for the senior team.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So going straight into forwards coach for a top 14 was some
baptism by fire.
Yeah, it was right. Especially with different cultures and different language as well. So I didn't have an ounce of French to my name. So it was a massive jump. Yeah.
But it sounds like in your journey, you're going into a position that you jumped into and then had to learn a whole lot of skill sets. You're coaching yourself almost, and then you got some more experience and depth from the coaches that you're in that squad with. But then outside of that, you obviously because of what you had to been through, you sort of had this thirst for how to improve a game, and then you've started looking at, yeah, actually, I could improve this player.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I look back now and I think going to France and really jumping the deep end helped me as a coach. I went to France and I took what I knew at Leinster and tried to bring Leinster to France and to Grenoble and change so much. And I wanted them to do what we were doing in Leinster, and that wasn't the right way. So now whenever I go into a new team, I kind of go in there and kind of see how they do things, and then make small changes as I go, rather than going in and making big wholesale changes. Because you go into a lot of environments, not a lot needs to be changed, but you look at what needs to be, you think you can improve on or make better, and you make slight adjustments, and you bring the players with you on that kind of journey as well.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you also then went to Ulster as a forwards coach there. And I think you've answered this in a way, but how do you bring out the best from any player in your charge?
It's definitely bringing the players on that journey and getting their alignment, getting their points as well.
Listening.
Yeah,
to
listening. But yeah, getting them involved in all the kind of the process and kind of decision making as well. I think if you go in and to environments and trying to bring change too much, it's going to backfire for you. I like to get the players engaged, and that's what I did before I arrived over. I had a lot of conversations with a few key leaders, and just said, "Oh, look, what would you guys like to change?" And kind of said, "Oh, this is what I kind of see," and we kind of meet in the middle, or you kind of compromise, and that's how you get the best.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. That's the modern approach now, isn't it? It's very
well, it seems that way. It seems most of the
collaborative.
Yeah, the coaches, even at the local level, talk about a collaborative approach, as opposed to perhaps in our day when you just followed orders.
Yeah, well, you got
told,
yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. It's pretty unique environment here where you got players from all different environments. Like you got Crusaders, you got guys that played with the Highlanders, you got one of the Blues, you got Moana Pacifica, PG Jura, you got guys playing in states. Like there's so much learning that they've learned over the coming year that from them learning off their coaches or learning off games they've played in against that we can bring it all in and take what's good, leave what's bad.
So you can't just mold them into all doing the same thing. You've got to sort of deal with each player individually almost, and just tweak what they're doing to try and suit your game plan.
Yeah, and also take the learnings that they've had over the last year as well.
True. So they're teaching you sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. I'm listening. I'm definitely learning what guys have learned overseas and what they're doing down in the Crusaders. I think there's you take, as I said, you take the good bits and you leave the stuff you don't want.
Yeah.
We can't talk about Leinster and not mention a couple of legends from the Mako world who have been there, Andrew Goodman and James Lowe. So have you had dealings with them? And
yeah, they're both obviously both players with Leinster. I actually played with Goody for the 2 years he was there. So I've got a really good relationship with Goody, firstly as a player, and then obviously he came back, and now he's back as a coach. So working alongside him as a coach. So we've got a good relationship. And Lowe, obviously he's still playing and playing for Ireland, and he's playing class. He's top of his game at the moment now, isn't he?
We think so.
Yeah.
He was one of those that slipped through New Zealand's fingers in that they didn't think he was quick enough. But in England, he's quick enough, strong enough, and talented enough. Just a unique talent, I think. Yeah.
So most recently, it doesn't stop here. You were the forwards coach for the Ireland under-20s in South Africa. So how was that experience? And were you pleased overall with how the under-20 Irish team win?
Yeah, so I've done it for 2 years now. So last year we won the Six Nations, and then we lost to France in the final of the World Cup. And this year we came second in the Six Nations and obviously fourth in the World Cup. Disappointed how we finished. Yeah, after finishing second last year, I was hoping to kind of push on a bit further. Yeah, we kind of started well. We got ourselves in the semi-final. Didn't put our best performance together against England. And after that game, I felt we kind of, we went a little bit on holiday mode after that, and lost to a New Zealand side that wanted the third place finish more than us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard motivator for third and fourth, isn't it? And you really have to pick yourself up mentally because you kind of feel, that's the end of the tournament for us, and what do we care about this game? But sometimes you got to put pride on the line, don't you? And to be fair, England ended up winning the tournament. So, but I guess what could have been was always what could have been. But did you have a chance to catch up with the New Zealand management during or after? Or
yeah, we were actually we were in the same hotel
right.
for the 4 weeks. So yeah, I obviously know John O'Gibbs well from my time with Leinster, and obviously he brought me up to Ulster as a coach as well. So we have a good relationship, and so I caught up with him a few times, and obviously Luca and Richie, obviously the physio and analysts here with Mako. So met them for the first time in person. Obviously had spoken to Luca a few times over a few like Zoom calls and stuff. So first time, we caught up a couple of times, had a beer together, and it was good to have a relationship with them before I arrived over.
Yeah, interesting.
And now you're all together. You coach the Mako forwards along with Hawani McDonald. How do you split the roles?
So so before I came over, Hawani and Quentin McDonald kind of ran it. So we had a few chats before I came over, and just kind of stuff I wanted to kind of implement around the pre-season. So they did a really good job. And it's something I think Quinton's going to be really good at in the future. Like this is he wants to become a full-time coach eventually once he hangs up the boots. So he's done a great job, and put them in a good place.
And Hawani, is he running defence or?
Yeah, he's running defence. Yeah, and he's he's obviously helping me out around some of the forward stuff as well.
Yeah, awesome. Good group.
So I guess what I'm interested in is how did they get hold of you, or how did you get hold of them? Was it just an ad in the paper, or was the Bush Telegraph working away?
No, like I've always kind of wanted to get back to New Zealand and coach. I am so passionate about the NPC and like kind of the Ranfurly Shield. I grew up watching it. The NPC when I was growing up was huge. As I said earlier to Les, I still remember one of the Ranfurly Shield Challenge, and it was Waikato, Auckland, and there was cows going down the main street with cowbells on, and there was people everywhere. And before the game kicked off, was live on TV for an hour. There was build-ups, and it was huge. And for me, that's still fresh in my mind as a kid. So I never got the chance to play in the NPC or compete for the Ranfurly Shield as a player because I left New Zealand so early. So being able to get the opportunity to coach in it is awesome. And for my family as well that are living in New Zealand to be able to come, and obviously a lot of them haven't watched me play professionally because I was overseas, but at least they can come and watch me coach. It's going to be something I'm pretty proud of.
So where did the tie-in with the Mako happen?
Yeah, so I was just out probably one night having a beer with Goody, as I do, and
Goody's doing the work behind the scenes.
Yeah. But no, it always came up. I'd love to get back and coach in New Zealand, and we were out having a beer one night, and I think he said to me, he goes, Tasman Mako are looking for a coach. Dan Perrin's gone full time with the Crusaders. So So yeah, I said, oh look,
Yeah, right.
yeah, put me in touch, and I'd love to have a call with Gray.
Yeah, awesome.
So it's just
Well, there you
kinda-
go.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
he
yeah.
pulled a few, didn't he?
What do we say? In goody we trust.
Yeah, he's out there working it on the international level. That's great. That's fantastic. So this Sunday, Manawatu and Palmerston North, followed by Canterbury and Nelson the following Sunday. So tell us about your fizzing for the season to get underway, and what are your hopes and expectations with these early games?
First games come around really quick.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, pre-season's been awesome. As I said, it's been awesome seeing some of the young guys get opportunities and get to know them and see what they can bring. But yeah, now pre-season's over, we're all really looking forward to. I think the players are really itching forward to this first game. Pre-season has probably been quite, a bit long for them, but this is the first game of the season where we can set high standards, go out and perform. Hopefully from the forwards, I get to see what some of the stuff I've kind of implemented in the last couple of weeks, which will be good. And be a good, I think, physical battle. But really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to getting the season started.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it, Les.
Oh, I'm fizzing.
Yeah,
I really am. I love this time of the year. Love I love watching the Mako team build up for a week from Monday with such excitement and energy, and then it just goes through the week. It's great times.
Well, I've been sent my tickets, and I've got a bag over there with my hoodie and my shirt in. I've been talking about that hoodie. Even in summer, I was saying for winter, I'm going to have a Mako hoodie. I don't know if my partner's so thrilled about my fashion wear, but I'm definitely going to be wearing it.
Good on you.
Awesome.
Yeah, fins up.
Usually I just get the polo shirt, but this year the hoodies came out, so I thought I'm having that. So fantastic. Yeah, so not only obviously looking forward to watching it on the telly this weekend, but really looking forward to next Saturday against Canterbury. Always a huge day, and we'll pump that up next week, Les?
We will.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, get your
Yes.
tickets.
Yeah.
www.marco.nz.
That's right. That's right. Hey, Azza, if I can call you that until you get a new nickname, they'll keep that, won't they?
I like it.
Yeah,
It is his nickname.
Well, welcome to the region. Not only that, and hope you're settling in and enjoying it so far. If you're getting any time to get some time off and enjoy what we have here, good luck with your preparations, and obviously good luck this weekend, and obviously with the season ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I've loved it here so far. Nelson's pretty incredible and scenic city. So looking forward to what the next few months can hold here, and really looking forward to getting the season starting, Adam.
I mean, you do get some lovely days in Wellington, but I think you'll find not so quite as much wind and more sunshine hours, Les?
Without a doubt. and Azza's got an apartment with views of the harbour.
Oh, has he?
Of a cut. So
man.
he's living the dream.
Isn't
Don't
he?
tell his wife.
No, that's right. Oh, lovely. Oh, well, hope you can get out in the water sometime. All right. Well, thank you very much, mate. Thanks very much for coming in. Thank you again, Les.
Awesome.
And don't forget those tickets, Marco.nz.
You got
There you
it.
go. All right. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week. Don't forget you can catch this and other podcasts on talknelson.co.nz, also on our social media channels, and also Spotify, NBS Talk Nelson. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again next week.
The Mako Rugby Roundup. What's on, where, and when. It's the Talk of Nelson. NBS Talk Nelson.